When I was in India, I spent a lot of time with amazing enlightened beings. I wanted to meet an enlightened master. And this was a guy called Ganguly. And I found him in the middle of Kerala in the mountains. And he was a profound man. And I got to sit with him and ask him and talk to him. And he just shared about life, shared about existence. But what I will say is there were many people that I met on the journey in India that actually touched me even more. Because I was looking for enlightenment in this mystical, higher, enlightened guru with a beard, I had this sort of preconceived idea of what the form of wisdom was going to come in this package of. And as amazing as this enlightened teacher was, this enlightened teacher was, this enlightened teacher was, I want to share a story of a guy I met. After about 3 months of traveling throughout India, meeting all these enlightened people, I was exhausted. I mean, they all gave me this profound wisdom, nature of consciousness, nature of life, we are souls, we are this. All of it's true. It was profound. I was in Bodh Gaya, where the Buddha got enlightened by the Bodhi tree. It was 120 degrees. And there was this one day where I was exhausted and I sat down and I'm like, in the pursuit of happiness, I was suffering even more because I was just constantly seeking something. And I sat down outside of the temple, and I'll never forget the day where I saw these 10 beggars. And every day I would see these 10 beggars. But this particular day, maybe as my exhaustion, I saw this one guy sitting down on the floor. And he was singing. Like singing. I have no idea what he was singing, but singing praises to the divine with a little drum, singing. Everyone else is begging. And I look at this guy, and I've seen him every day, but I didn't notice him because he was not enlightened, at least in my perception. He was not some great guru, right? Big ashram, big following. So why am I going to listen to this guy? But I sat there, and I just observed him singing this day. And I'm like, wow, this dude is singing like with his whole heart, his whole beingness, his whole essence, like putting all of him. And it was like the energy field around him was projecting out. And he was so free in a way that was so surprising because I did not expect this guy to be this free. So I observed him for another 20, 30 minutes and I started to cry. Because as I saw him singing, there was such a purity in his heart in the way he was singing. He didn't care. He didn't care about anything. Whether anyone was there, whether anyone was giving him money, he was just freaking singing. And so I realized that this man was not a beggar. In fact, I looked at him and I realized, I think I'm more of a beggar than he is. And so I went up to him. He couldn't speak English, so I got a translator. And I went up to this man, and I realized he was blind. So he couldn't see. He couldn't see if anybody was watching. He couldn't see if anyone was appreciating. He couldn't see if anybody was there. And I thought of myself and all the things I used to do for fame, all the things I used to do so that people would notice and appreciate me. And like, this guy couldn't see. One person, 100 people. And then I looked at him and I saw that he had no arms. Straight up, no arms. And here he was singing, and he was beating these drums.
With his feet?
With his hands. like stumps.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, these stumps. So he's beating these
drums.
I
just had to clarify.
Right? And he was just beating these drums and just ecstatic. Truly ecstatic. This is what got me. I'm like, wow. I have no idea what he's saying, but I could feel him. And he's no eyes, no hands, couldn't even eat by himself. No legs. Legs are mangled. That's why he was the only beggar sitting down. No eyes, no hands, no legs, and he is singing, giving praises to his creator freely. And I realized he'd been doing this all day, every day for the last 2 weeks I'd been there. I just didn't notice because he didn't come in this enlightened package I had imagined. And I sat there with tears in my eyes with a translator. I'm like crying, right? And I said to him, how do you manage to sit here every day? You don't know if anyone is looking, appreciating, clapping. You don't even know how much money you're making. I have every reason to be happy, and you have every reason to not be happy. And here you are, free, happy, ecstatic. I felt like the beggar. And so I told him this. And it was as though he looked at me, couldn't see me, but it's like he looked straight through my soul. And here I am I'm like got my journal out, ready to take some notes from this guy. And through the translator, I said, how do you manage to do this every day? You give your heart, give your love, For me, my friend doesn't call me back. I'm pissed off. I'm mad, right? They don't text me. I'm upset. And you just keep singing. And he said, what else is there to do? I'm like, what? What else is there to do? Then he kept playing. Then he turned back to me, looked into my soul, and he said, look, sometimes life will give you what you want. Sometimes life will not give you what you want. But you can always give life who you are. And he just kept freaking singing, man. And it was like something hit me in that transmission, the simplicity, no esoteric chakra. It was just the pure simplicity of a man who was living his spirituality, living it. No philosophy, no theory, just demonstrating love every day through his form. And I saw all the ways that I wasn't. Waiting for some special moment in my life, waiting for some special break, waiting to meet Oprah, waiting for an audience, waiting for something. And I saw that I was suffering. And so that really impacted my life in such a way because I started to see and experience that real spirituality is not in a temple or in the words I say or in my ability to open my pineal gland or in my yoga posture or in my lotus position. But that real spirituality is just how I live my life. It's who I am with you each moment. It's how I show up. It's how the degree to which I just dare to be love moment to moment to moment and love everything and everyone to the best of my capacity as the divine in each moment. And so for me, it's simple moments like that that really impacted me, It's like I was staying at a mentor of mine's ashram in India at the time, a man called Dwarkaji. He's quite well known, but he passed away at 100 and something. I met him when he was 80. This is a man who serves the underprivileged kids. This is why I went to Bodh Gaya in the first place, to meet with him. And I had these, I'll confess, I had these visions of like, I'm going to be like Mother Teresa, it's going to be like this romantic thing. And so he builds schools for the underprivileged kids. And so he has an ashram as in an orphanage, where there's like 300 underprivileged kids. So I went there to serve them. And these are kids that he finds in the trash, just living in the trash. They have no parents. They come, they live with him, and he serves them. And this is what he's been doing up until that point for 80 years. So I got to be with him and serve the kids. After 2 weeks, I was exhausted. This is what led me to roam the streets and meet this singing man. And Dwarkaji was a beautiful man. And I said to him after 2 weeks, hey, Dwarkaji, I'm exhausted, man. Like, these kids are crazy. They don't appreciate me. That I'm trying. Like, they're not socialized. I'm tired. I'm going to go to the temple and I'm going to pray. I'm going to meditate by the Bodhi tree. And these two experiences came together for me because they happened a few days apart. And this 80-year-old man full of wisdom, he looked at me and he said, it's beautiful that you go to the Bodhi tree and pray and meditate. But just make sure that whilst you're meditating, your heart doesn't turn to stone. Because right here, in this very simple ashram, it's an orphanage, are 300 living Buddhas, living Christs, waiting for you to serve them. It's like, oh. And so it's moments like that that really changed my life. To realize that real spirituality, is loving. Real spirituality is the degree to which we love and serve others as myself. And for me, that's to embody it. Love is the embodiment of spirituality. And for me, there is no real spirituality without love in action.